Alright.
Alright, these are Lochinvar's power fin boiler. They are 3.5 million BTU boilers each. They are a water tube boiler. The heat exchanger resides behind this panel. The combustion blower, gas valve, and everything resides behind the upper panel. These two screws come off. This panel will slide down. There's some hooks on the back of it that'll hang right here if you need to access and service the unit for any reason. Basic access of this boiler for controls. This is the normal screen you'll see when you walk up to it. This is a standby screen. It's also in screensaver mode. Okay, so it'll tell you how much it's firing, if it's running, or what percentage of firing it's running at. To get into the screen, all you have to do is touch it, and you'll see the normal screen pop up. These boilers have a set point button. It's under detail, and you would be looking at the space heating set point. If you make a change, just press save or cancel if you don't want to make a change. There's information here that you can read. You can see the system supply temperature, 167 degrees. The inlet water is 132. The outlet water is 140. There's a current delta T of 8 degrees through the boiler. It'll tell you your flue temperature and the flame signal if the boiler is running, what the flame signal is. This can vary anywhere between 8 microamps up to about 14 microamps. Average is around 10 to 11, depending on if it's high fire or low fire. There's another information screen here. Press the button with the little squares in it. The screen changes. You basically have the same bit of information rearranged a little bit. But if you notice, there's a little small square pattern up here with arrows all pointing outward. Press that little button, and then a lot more information pops up on that. You still have the same basic information here, but you also have a list of all the controls in the boiler for verification of what it's doing or not doing in case it's malfunctioning. Take that screen and you can run it up. You got your BMS, BAS inputs. You can see if the building auto management system is sending any information to it, or 0-10 signal. You can read the actual signal coming into the boiler. You can see if your pumps are running. There is a boiler pump for each boiler. That pump must run for this boiler to run. So if the boiler's locking out on flow switch or low water cutoff, there's a good chance it's the pump. There is a low water cutoff button in here for models that have a low water cutoff. There's a test button and a reset button. If it's locked out on flow switch, low water cutoff, you can press the reset button on the main screen, and that button will pop up if it's locked out. It will not show if it's not locked out. If you hit the reset button, the screen resets, and it sits there for about 15-20 seconds and does not reset and locks out again. Two things: either that pump doesn't come on and run, or it's actually locked out on low water cutoff, which it has to be reset internally, which means taking this cover off. It will tell you what it's locked out on. It will say MRHL, manual reset high limit, or ARHL, ignition failure. There's a multitude of lockouts that's in the service manual that will tell you what that lockout is and what the common solutions are to remedy the problem. The burner on these should be removed and cleaned once a year. It is a cloth mesh type burner. It does need to be cleaned periodically. Once a year is minimum. There's also a condensate drain on the back of each one, and there's a little gray box down there where the cover needs to be taken off the top, and that needs to be rinsed out. You notice the drain is not connected. You should not have water coming out that drain. Even though it's a condensate trap, there should not be any water coming out because these are not condensing boilers. So the minimum water temperature of this boiler is 140 degree inlet temperature. If it's getting any colder than that, then there's a 3-way valve up here that's probably malfunctioning. On a cold startup, if the entire system's cold, you may see that cold startup for probably about 2 minutes. And at that time, once the loop gets hot within the boiler loop right here, that valve starts to open and it'll maintain 140-degree inlet coming to the boiler automatically. There is a flow switch on each boiler. Here's the flow switch. So if the pump does not run, that is the switch that is not being turned on. Or that switch itself could fail. There's a numerous amount of items that could be causing that to lock out. System actually low on water, pump not running, pump running the wrong direction, failure of the flow switch. I said these boilers will tell you exactly what's going on. You come into that. You can come into the history screen. It has a little arrow on it as well. You can press that button and it will tell you the history of all the past lockouts. There's a little temperamental. And it'll tell you manual reset high limit, gas pressure switch, outlet manual reset high limit. You see one that says sensor. There are two high limits on this. There's one that has a temperature sensor on the water outlet. Then there's a mechanical high limit, which also measures on the water outlet. By code, this particular boiler has to have both sensors. And it'll tell you when it failed, what day it failed, what time of day. Morning, night. And if you want to look at more detail, you can press the view button. And it'll time out and give you a graph of information. You can select, find out what modulation it was at when it failed. You press that and you can select numerous things to see what it failed, when it failed. Press OK. It's timing back out. That information will pop up and it gives you data on both sides to see exactly what the conditions were when it did fail, so to help you troubleshoot it and get the problem resolved a whole lot quicker. All the manuals for these boilers are available online at lochinvar.com. You have a high and low gas pressure switch in there that it can trip out on. It will tell you back here in the home screen, this is running. This screen has more data on it and it changes in each mode it's in. It'll tell you when it's in pre-purge, it'll tell you when it's going to try for ignition, and it'll tell you when it's running. And it'll tell you over here at what percentage of firing rate it's at when it is running. So it can be anywhere from 20% to 100%. That's it.